Hello, good morning. Thank you. Hello, good morning. Um, I've been working with AWS a lot lately, and I've put together a little summary of what I've been using with Perl, and it has been broadly successful. So thank you very much, any CPAN authors who are here this morning. So I'm talking about doing the cloud with CPAN. The cloud means Amazon's, which funds a private space program, which we should probably look at briefly. Is a private space program good? That's a good question. I did look into this briefly. Jeff burns green hydrogen, which is an interesting thing. Anyone who did some chemistry and will know about that, I think Dewar first made liquid hydrogen, and you'll know that it is a clear liquid, a very cold clear liquid. I didn't find a nice photo of it. I did look for one, but it makes lots of steam, so you can't really see it. Well, not steam yet. That's the second this year. Hello. Can someone turn off the echo? I'm not sure. Okay. Shall I? How's this? Is this better? Lovely. Okay. Sorry. Yes. So we then get this clear liquid. We then burn it at altitude, which makes lots of steam, which of course reflects heat back down again, and also lots of nitrogen oxides as well. So we should probably look at this very briefly before we get onto the cloud. And this is the cloud in action. So moving onwards, other clouds do exist, but there's not much in CPAN yet. I would like that to change. I'm not sure if I change myself, but there is some Azure support in CPAN. I could not find any GCP support, and of course there is Scaleway, who did those nice little iron boxes, and they have a very nice thing which could in principle be used and by Perl, but not yet. Okay, so I did say playing nicely in the cloud, and for me there's a couple of aspects of that. There's firstly actually operating it, so making configuration changes to your cloud configuration, operating the services themselves. So, for example, if you're say storing data in their object store or inserting data into their queue services, and of course actually spinning up the services themselves. And you can do both of which in Perl. It's all very nice. The other aspect is using AWS to run your Perl without actually messing around with servers yourself, which has some advantages, and it all broadly works. So moving on. So where to start? So first actually doing this talk, I thought I should find out what's actually in CPAN. So I did a little query. I did spend a while playing around with the Meta CPAN API and got a headache. And then did this, which did not give a headache, and found we have 118 distributions which actually name AWS. And of course, Perl's the big one, which does not get found by that search. Then I realized that I think for a lot of places, you end up working in say distribution and using kind of distribution Perl and support. So if you care about support, whatever that means, I looked at Debian, and there's 12 in Debian. I think also 12 in Debian stable as well. But the really useful ones are in there as well. So you can indeed, on a Debian machine, happily bash away at the AWS API without having to run CPAN yourself, which is all very nice. So, beginning. So you want to stop bashing away the API, and the very simple, stupid way to do it is like this. Just invoke the AWS binary. So Amazon doing is supply a nice binary for hitting their API. It is very well documented and gives help, and it handles some of the annoying details with authentication, which means that you don't have to do this yourself. And of course, if you're building a program or building a system, you can start working away on the command line, then just copy and paste it into your Perl, and go, yay, this thing now works. And of course, it's very easy to install. It's probably already in your distribution, or indeed if you're actually using their Amazon's provided OS images, it's already there. You can then move on a little and abstract yourself a little bit. So Rose has put together this very nice little wrapper here, which handles some of the additional faff and gives you some marginally nicer syntax. So what's not visible there is it's handling the return. I think it's processing out the JSON response data from this, which turns into an HTTP query, or I think in this case a GET request, which goes into some I'm not sure exactly what type of body that is, but we'll get into that later on. And it's all rather nice. So, and of course, same advantages of hitting the API yourself. The disadvantage of it is that you'll find that this is a very large Python program. And much like very large Perl programs, it does take a long time to start. So if you're doing anything fast with it, it's possibly not what you want. So going to move on to the more specialist modules, or modules which actually interact with the API themselves. Probably starting with the big, old, ancient ones. So we have a couple. So we have Net Amazon S3, which is still, which shockingly, 18 years later, is still relevant, and it's still being updated, and is regularly used in lots of places. I've always found the API a little odd, because it reflects the HTTP API with gets and puts and so on, and remembers things like which bucket you're looking at, which always confused me each time I looked at it. But it works well, and it's still here. Whereas in contrast, we have this one, which is also a lovely module, but EC2 Amazon users don't seem to be hitting this API anymore. So it's module's great. The actual usage of the service provided, most places I've been working in, could have moved away from hitting their actual VM service and moving on to more abstract things for running containers, which we'll be looking at later on. Oh. So, I guess moving on to the more general purpose modules. Amazon, who I said do some good documentation, I should probably stop saying them to you. I did give them their bashing earlier on. They do provide a very nice JSON API description. I've actually looked at this stuff, and it is very thorough. I decided it was way too complicated to start working with right now, and went, wow, that's cool, and then moved onwards. I should also say that if anyone does want to look at this stuff, the Azure and Scaleway also do provide a very nice JSON API description. I don't think in a compatible manner, but the data is there if you like to play with it. They provide it in this Botto core project, and I've looked at this, but other people have looked at this and made it work. So first of these is Pause, which is which is an incredible achievement in itself. And this inhales this JSON API description and turns it into some auto-generated code, which gives you a reasonably nice Perl interface for using I believe, the entire Amazon API, or at least the vast majority of it, is absolutely huge and very thorough, and just works. It's all rather nice. Now it is big and has a fairly hefty dependency list, although some of them are all the fairly common ones like Moose and so on. If that's not your thing, there's also this Amazon API, which is written with the intent of being rather lightweight and achieves this, but also in the process does use the same bottom core data. So it is still trying to represent the Amazon's API representation for you. And yes, I'm rather impressed that these things exist and they save you a fair bit of work. But you can go even lighter weight if you don't want to store that stuff, or if you're working on a David machine and don't want to start installing stuff, you can just start hitting the API itself, which is very workable and doable. The only catch is that Amazon do give you a fair few sharp edges to be aware of when you're trying to use their API, which the modules before will look after you and save you on those. If you're not using them, then you are now on your own, and you discover that Amazon have been very consistent with what HTTP meshes they use for the API. The form of errors, which is really rather unhelpful. Getting worse still, whether the API itself uses an HTML form style HTTP request or a JSON request. And if you give the wrong one, you get an unhelpful error. And you might think they should handle either, but no, it does not. It handles exactly what the documentation says, which is good in these examples, but you must follow them exactly. One of the ones which got me particularly angry is the content type for your JSON, which it cares about a lot, and it is not the correct one. It is a custom one they've got, which contains a version string. Anyway, so read examples, and you can make requests, and it's all very practical. So to do so, the annoying detail is the authentication, which has been done by this module here, which does it very nicely. This has been around for quite a while. So you assemble your HTTP request using LWP, run it through this module here, which looks at the request, does its magic, and turns it into and you can then fire it off, to LWP, and it turns into you get a response body back, which you can then parse yourself. And you get to handle the responses, which is lovely, which is probably JSON, not necessarily. If it's an error, it'll be in a different form from the correct response. Read the documentation carefully. There is particularly the examples, which will tell you what on earth you should be doing. Oh yes, and I could also say that there is a other module exists, is AWS Signature v4. I'm not unsure if there's any particular advantages either way. They both seem to do the right thing, and of course both are indeed in Debian, so very easy to kick off if you're building that way. So as for actually running code without playing around with servers, Amazon give you a couple of options. They have the Lambda feature and a thing called Fargate. So Lambda is possibly the most alien one. It runs your routine on demand. it can run containers. So this can be a surprise to if you're working with AWS qualified people. It seems to be a very unadvertised feature. It's well documented, but unadvertised. And crucially, the scaling is done by them. The paying is done by you. That is very important. It is the most expensive way to run Perl I've found, but extremely convenient. The broad form is here. You have you fire off a HTTP request to a magic endpoint. It blocks until you have something to do, and then you do it. You get some little request data there. There is this module here which wraps it, which also gives you another form of running it. So as well as giving it a container, giving Amazon a container to run, you can also give them a zip file. I've not listened to quite how that works with which Perl you get, but that's something you can have. Debugging wise, you can just fire off debug data by HTTP to an Amazon endpoint, which you can do manually. I've done that, works very nicely. Isn't too hard, but if that's too much faff, there is Amazon AWS X-Ray as well, which assembles your requests. And you can then look at it in the Amazon console and debug it as if pretending you were debugging, I don't know, say a node application, same arrangement. Finally, Amazon Fargate, which is a container running thing. It does work with Kubernetes. I shall ignore that because we've not got all day. Amazon give you another thing called ECS, which is their own magic thing, which is kind of a little like Kubernetes in that it runs containers, but it is rather easy to understand. And essentially, you create services or tasks, and you assign them a container, and you tell it run it on this bunch of hardware. A bunch of hardware can include their magic thing, which looks after the entire stack beneath you. So the kernel, the container environment, that's all nursed and becomes not your problem, which is all very nice. This is mostly about making things not your problem and paying for it, and it works nicely. And thank you to any authors. I've not looked at Google App Engine. I think it's a similar concept, but I've not used it myself. So here we have it. Perl is in the modern cloudy world. Any questions?
Thanks for that. Regarding that last one, the Fargate bit, so is that as expensive as Lambda? Or is it cheaper or more expensive?
I've not actually checked. The broad costing is that the cheapest way to buy compute from Amazon is from EC2, and everything else on top of that has markup. So it's probably broadly similar, but it is cheaper to run EC2, but then you're having to nurse servers. And my context here is working in organizations which didn't have people to nurse servers. So hence all that stuff. To run something in Python, or? Ah, yes. Yeah. So so Pause, I think just looks at the JSON API definitions, which they just provided for. Ooh, where should I stand? Okay. Backwards. How's that? This way. Ah. Yes. I think Pause and Amazon API just look at the. I'm correct you on this. The JSON definitions from Amazon, but of course there are other things. I don't know how standard that is. There might be other things which could use that, but I don't know. But it would be nice if it was, wouldn't it?